Qualifier 2 is here. Game 2 is here. We are jumping straight into the action with a 50-50 bus split. It's going to be all fair and love and war here on the map right now. We know Brawlers Battleground will, of course, have a fight. Grim Gate will have a quick, likely very quick contested battle, being that we are cutting right over that drop spot. And starting with our game 1 winners, Hound and Mason. Little trouble in the air here. Trouble in paradise, if you will, for Hound and Mason.
Those tags coming into play, but they're actually opting for the southern portion of Reclaimed Villa. Tested, most likely by Nerface and Sid. And again, not the only point of contention taking place here today. Skittles, Chubbs, Brutal Beachhead. They want that mythic combat shotgun, but they're gonna have to fight their way for it. And it's not going to be an easy endeavor by any means. Paco and Vorteca, not gonna make this easy. Some of the wandering NPCs as well could potentially look to give Chubb some of that stealth coverage he's hoping for, but just kind of crawling around, crouching around the map right now. Only a matter of time. Vorteca and Paco, they've actually got a high ground leverage. Hand cannon just off the mark here, but the Nitro Splash in tow. Paco, he's willing to give chase. Chubb's trying to do what he can to escape. Won't be able to hit the flaming boost hoop. He's just got to stay out of the line of sight. Takes the Ascender, but is instantly knocked. Secondary shot going to connect here for Paco. Solid elimination cleanups from both Paco and Vorteca. They split their ones, and now they've got all of Brutal Beachhead to take over.
Peterbot and Folio, same as well for the Red Line Rig here as they win their battle early on in the game. And I noticed there in the feed too that I do believe Ritual picked up elimination somehow as well, so likely that Re and Ritual are being contested too. A lot going on here for Peterbot and Folio. That 12th place finish is going to put them in the conversation, but not quite where they want to be as far as end game performances are concerned. Red Line Rig, though, having it this early, there is a lot of loot there for them to go ahead and get themselves set up. Last game we tuned in with Cease and Jack. We saw them on the run very early on here, pushed out of the restored reels. How are things looking for them this go around? Seems like they're going to find their first elimination pretty early on and at least give them the confidence to go ahead and loot the drop and now move on much better here in game number 2.
Yeah, not to mention Cease and Jack, they've certainly got some familiarity with being contested at restored reels. Keep in mind, week 1, they were dealing with the likes of Oceana with Alex and Worthy, but given that this week Alex and Worthy didn't find themselves actually falling to this finals, it's all down to just trying to play against a different set of members now. But Cease and Jack, I think Jack in particular has certainly, I think, been surfacing a lot on different people's radars. He's definitely had a decent amount of highlight-worthy moments, and again, a lot of Cease's veteranship and experience, I think, kind of playing into their favor there. Far east of the map, though, all the way at Breezy Coast. MDF, would you believe that this is a triple con split over what is, honest to God, one of the most difficult places on the map, I think, to actually farm out?
Yeah, it takes me back to the last FNCS where I watched the same thing go down. Oliver OG, for whatever forsaken reason, a team that had no business landing there decided they contest Oliver. And we saw that pure game knowledge came into the drop, and Oliver's team ended up besting them. It seems like they're doing just fine as he's got a lot of time invested. What do you even call that drop at this point?
It's just the breezy coast.
Yeah, the breezy coast, the east windmills or something, dude.
It does feel like more inexperienced teams that aren't necessarily able to get a uncontested part in a more popular location on the map tend to default towards these like outskirt territories in the hopes that, you know, maybe we can win our exchanges. But again, when you are dealing with a team as experienced as Oliver OG and Craze at that drop, it's certainly not an easy split to win over. Bacon and Zooks, though, looks like they're in the process of chasing down the other half of the duo. Pluto trying to do what he can. Yeah.
This is crazy. Vino is, by the way, split up from Clix. They play very far apart in the early game to fight for Surge, and he confidently jumped down before Clix even made the rotate there, looking for an advantage, and he actually found a massive tag there onto Zooks. And I mean, now they have them trapped essentially between Bacon and Clix, who is now on the way here to support Vino. But no, seems like they don't want to stick around for too much longer. Not being the focus, at least. They want them while they are with their guard down. Clix is trying to hit the other side of the tunnel. And there goes the disengage. Likely to mix things up. I think Vino is going to make the proper call here. Likely giving the heads up like, hey, there's a solo in here, 1,000,000,000%. We just got to not fight the duo, right?
At the same time, though, Veno gave warning shots to the backside of this tunnel, so everyone inside of the tunnel itself is alerted, hey, we can't go backwards, so we might as well push forward, which is probably a big part of the reason why Veno actually chose to just go hip to hip here with Clix. Wants to support his duo as directly as possible. If they can control the front end of this tunnel, it's going to make it all the more difficult for any of the players inside to try and escape. It did look like they were able to confirm a couple of extra DMR tags as well in the process. And given that this is a big part of where Clix and Veno like to play, north of that Sandy Steps area, the Snooty Station can definitely be problematic to escape from when you get caught in these kinds of exchanges. Wouldn't be surprised to see Clix and Veno opting to maybe just keep tabs on how that fight is actually breaking out.
Look at this. Japco and Quanti have 3 eliminations right now. Super early into this Fortnite run right here. Well played for them. Meanwhile, on the other side, what's happening here? Doxy, Oreo, jumping onto Dash here, who must have just finished up a fight because Doxy and Oreo have no eliminations right now. Looking for the sidewall, cuts them off, and seeing the adjustments really come into play there with the Nitro not being able to push him all the way through. They have to damage that wall first. Defense is better, though, for Dash. What in the world?
Yeah, that's a deserved dance. Like,
My gosh.
If I'm Dr. Pax, I am probably so proud of my duo in this circumstance, but he's just holding that right side peak. Could not have played it any more perfectly. And Oreo and Doxy, I mean, welcome to the final set lobby. That is a tough break, though, for game number 2. But also keep in mind, Oreo and Doxy likely in a bit of a shambles situation, considering that they are part of that triple contest from that east part of the map, Breezy Coast. So after getting pushed out by Oliver OG and Craze, they were just opting to rotate towards that slumber yard, see if there was anything that they could pick up, kind of last-minute exchange, recognize that there was a solo looking for a recovery tour, and don't think that could have gone much better for Dr. Fox and Dash. Gave them a lot of needed surge, yeah.
Bugha and Aviv going so far north outside the map. What are they chasing? Is there a bunker spawn out there? Like, where are they headed right now?
Piney Lane, potentially.
They already had 2 medkits.
But at the same time, keep in mind, last week we saw Bugha and Aviv. They liked rotating really fast towards Piney Lane to go and key Pilot and Flix. And currently, Piney Lane, potentially Double Con, Tahi, Revise, Kaz, and Rojo. They're going to be 2 of the teams kind of located more towards that direction. And so for Bugha and Aviv, if they can get their surge off of keying that north part of the map, then Deadside rotate is all theirs. And we saw late in the final moments of the last zones in the first lobby, so seems to be working out for them.
Buzz right now looking to hold this top 5 position they've kicked their tournament off with. I like this little angles searching. Shots coming from above. Can't do that on their wood structure, that's for sure. No Trashy in sight. I hope he's been at least getting material together because it's not looking too hot right now for Muzz. Their overall position here at the Pleasant Piazza. Fights happening to the north with Hound and Mason right now. And then you have Re and Ritual, our elimination leaders on the standings. Already at 2 here. There's something boiling here for Re and Ritual.
just kind of gauging whether or not they need to stick closer to the low ground here because of that surge tower that Reet spotted just a little bit further northwest. It could potentially be an old surge base that Reet and Ritual had established, but based on how, I guess, passive they were actually trying to make that last rotate, I would be led to believe it's not.
Looks like Noisy gave Edgy and Def a little too much time there, and the cactus there, they're gonna bounce right back into things. Where is Tony? Inside the storm right now. Health just chewed away here. Noisy and Tony are gonna have to get a move on it. A lot of teams have rotated into the red line rig here as part of their strategy this game too. And there's more flying by through the ring rotates, of course. Jumping in with Mason and Hound. Got Reciprocal based up above him now, putting pressure down from the high ground. And the teammate out on the outside. So Mason and Hound essentially will likely have to key one of these two players, depending on how much, more troublesome they become.
A lot of it's probably just dependent on how comfortable they feel off the damage they acquired from that first elimination they picked up. And that's not factoring in any other tags they might have been able to gather, considering that we do see Mason with that blue Huntress DMR. A couple of Nuka-Colas as well, and 5 Nitro Splashes, so if they need to get a move on, they could certainly get active at a pretty rapid rate here. But I think part of it also is that when you're looking at some of these teams more towards the southern portion of the map, inside this desert area, Tayson and Iamzo, a prime example, they like to drop what's considered that SETI Cami split, splitting between 3 separate landmarks, the Rec Mill, Orchard Station, P-Boys headquarters, but there's so many slurp cacti on this side of the map, and it makes for such elongated battles from a distance because players can just box up around those cactuses and consistently regenerate any shield, any white health that they're missing. That could be part of the reason why we are seeing the search threshold numbers kind of shoot so high upwards, even when teams have like 5-6 eliminations like we saw out of the first lobby, and they're still just barely above that search threshold.
Couldn't agree more. Uga and Aviv right here, trying to find what they can. Cease and Jack. Finally, some life in Cease and Jack here. But Cease hurt. Looking a little worse for Wares right now. Heals are going to have to start being utilized here. Nitros is out. Rotate's going in. They want to get a little bit more center and away from the attention of the others now.
Getting caught lingering towards edge of zone could just spell disastrous for teams that are trying to hold these mid-map positions, because the longer you take to make those rotates, the more time you're giving to everybody else to base up and just try to pick you off. Peterbot and Pollo, decently high surge base right now, just a little bit northeast of Snooty, excuse me, Sandy Step, but with their current position, it does seem as though their intent is just to try and prevent teams from launch padding in towards the zone, but Peterbot not gonna find his opportunities just yet. Trouble though for Muzz. Trashy having just been eliminated.
We saw G Monster and Reciprocal just putting pressure onto Hound and Mason, now moving location, getting into direct conflict here for Trashy and Muzz. This is not looking good for Muzz right now, as you see the pressure starting to turn online here for G Monster and Reciprocal. But we've seen crazier things happen with less known names already, so you never know what Muzz is capable of. And it does seem like this is all because of the Rift Island ends up spawning here, becoming the attraction point for all of these duos in the area. It's a tricky spot to play in, right? You got the dash ability, of course, available due to the river there from the Grim Gate, so always sketchy. Clicks and Vino right now playing their bases, looking out of very particular angles, but once again, very far apart from one another.
That's just strong trust and confidence within each other, but also just the fact that there are, again, just so many flaming boost tubes, launch pads that they can use to quick rotate to each other. Miro caught himself in a little spot of trouble. Nuka-Cola, though, helping to regenerate those shields. One elimination next to Pink, and it's currently a box fight matchup between Noah Plays and Liam. Pink and Miro. Pink and Miro, they want to confirm this one. They want to close it off early, but they know the longer they take to rotate, this is a decently far rotation for them to make as well. Liam trying to see if he can deal with these hard mats, and yeah, Pink, Miro, they might have gotten what they were after in this exchange because they know they can't really afford to spend this much time entertaining another team inside of the storm. They need to make it into the next zone, or else they're just going to get held back regardless by everyone else that's already positioned in a slightly better spot. But Liam, he wants more. He's going to try, dash into their box, breaking through some of the builds, but not able to connect just yet. And this is the reason why Miro Pink possibly recognizing the fact that, hey, this team's trying to key us because they're desperate for Surge. 92 below currently for Liam and Noah Plays. It's only a matter of time before they start taking those 25 ticks from that Surge.
Yeah, it's looking bad right now. It's looking very bad. And all that with 3 eliminations to be this far below is just a sign of really, really poor positioning. Not finding tags onto players moving around in your area, so about as bad as it could get right now as the Surge is now online. They're one of the few teams, of course, to be targeted here. Now, luckily, the threshold's not too far away, but still, they don't have much to work with here. Desperation starts to kick in here. They have to go up to the high ground here, go up to the Rift Island, go up to these teams and see what they can find. It's all or nothing now. We've seen this time and time again here, but there is literally nothing else they can do here.
That's the last of Liam's fizz, and it's wraps. Bandage will not save you at this point.
Bad math.
And I mean, but the thing is, even if they had managed to get damage above, they utilized so much of their only form of mobility in that Flowberry Fizz, they were likely going to get picked off regardless. At this point, it's kind of like a special delivery of some siphon materials to Pump, who was just a box above where we had last seen Liam and Noah located. Tayson and Iamzo, though, spotted out Blake and Macwood, some late stragglers on this rotate. 170 above, 1 elimination apiece. Blake, Macwood, they're trying to close the gap. Macwood spotting out the fact, hey, this is an experienced player, clearly. These DMR tags, very threatening. Granted, Tayson will be forced to use. He just finished a shield potion. Likely gonna have to pop another, but there could be Slurp Cacti nearby that he can depend on for that shield regeneration instead. Iamzo is gonna take the brunt of the charge now, try and cover while his teammate heals.
We go losing Aviv here on the rotate into the zone. Not looking good right now. He tries to save him, but unfortunately the lobby begins to focus in, so this is starting to really go downhill here for Bugha and company. Meanwhile, Jack and Cease turning online right now, putting pressure on the low ground team. Seems like they might have secured the little something for themselves here, but it is trouble for all the teams up in this north side right now. You can see the punishment really starting to wear on the health pools there. Meanwhile, Cooper and Kanata, Cooper falling really early last game. It seems like this is the second game now where they're having a bit of a struggle with the Surge, finding the damage 2 games in a row. Very unlikely situation for someone like Kanata to find themselves in, but here we are.
They've at least got a little bit more shield to work with, but still sitting 100 below. Cooper, it's not going to waste any more time. Spots out a solo. That's the connection he needed. No pre-fire available there for Sid, but still 15 below. Is it too little too late? Kanata likely trying to catch up to the rest of the pack. He He wants to try and get just a singular shot off is all it would take for Cooper and Kanata. But now, Surge Threshold climbing even further out of reach. Cooper utilizing, trying to build as quickly as possible. He needs to find another player, but no one is coming into their sights. In fact, it's just the lobby taking notes of him instead. Poor Cooper and Kanata, this is just looking like a dire situation. Sure enough, Cooper is going to be the first to get knocked. No shields left for Kanata, just trying to make it happen. A miracle even.
Nice.
6 above off that last tag.
He might be able to actually save his teammate here, but no. Shots coming from another duo now as well. And he's sitting on the zip line. Keep in mind, that's just trouble waiting to come. He recognizes it. Down he goes, and just an unfortunate game there. Fighting tooth and nail all the way through to the end. Here's Clicks, though. Pinned down by Peterbot and Boyo. Also below the Surge right now. Vino leading the rotate here on the outskirts. Such a tough spot. So many notable players here having a very difficult time with the Surge right now. There's no bailout cards to be played here, right? Especially now that we've had the adjustments to the Nitro. You really do have to find opportunity before you can just jump your way into any box, right? Very, very different game.
I think part of the reason too is that the lobby was just thinned out a little bit faster when you had those Nitro shoulder bashes to just insta break into somebody else's box. Players weren't staying up as long, and now
Surge
we're having to
longer.
re-entertain it. Yeah, that's pretty much the primary difficulty that I think a lot of people were kind of just more conditioned to a slightly faster pace. And now things kind of, nature is healing essentially for the late game opportunities here at FNCS. But Peterbot, Poyo on the other end of the spectrum. Big knock onto Encrypted. They're already sitting plenty though above that damage threshold, but slight over peakage from Peterbot just kept that focal a little bit too heavy across the map. Ended up taking some tags in return. Head's got to be on a swivel in these exchanges, and Scissor, unfortunately, didn't even get the chance to look up. Peterbot Poyo with another one.
And they're looking as good as ever right now, especially now they found another set of eliminations. Meanwhile, G-Monster Reciprocal playing for high ground again. Like what we are looking at right here. 2 eliminations. They hear the chaos kicking off down below them, and they are not interested in even peeking. I wonder how this is going to work out for such a passive high ground team. Meanwhile, Halden Mason, their first FNCS set lobby victory in the books, has already been confirmed coming out of game 1. Pink and Miro right now, 2 eliminations. Much better game for them this go around, but the material count halfway. Can they find the refresher?
Right now, all Reet and Ritual want is an opportunity to kind of stagger, heal up, get these shields back to full at least. Medkit as well. Reet wants to enter battle as healthy as possible. Clicks, on the other hand, he's lost Veno, doesn't even have a chance to expend any shields. He has none left. Has to hope that nobody spots out this solo sitting inside a metal box, trying to create some openings, trying to look down at the layers below him, but everyone already coned off, floors sealed. No one providing him the sights that he would like in order to try and get an opportunity. And yeah, Peterbot, Poyo, they want height and they want it now. Reciprocal and G-Monster punished for not being aggressive enough in suppressing the lower layers.
Things do get to settle down now as they have managed to, instead of fight, just build and cause a natural material deplete from the low ground teams. But Peterbot and Boyo continue to keep their focus, so they just reposition up, refocus their attention to the high ground and get a little damage in, but now they've welcomed another team onto that mid-ground layer right above them. Peterbot looking for the refresher here, jumps in, turns around, finds Japko on the backside of Storm, loses Boyo in the trade, and now all focus comes in, and it's another turn of events here, but this time they make it as far as into the top 10, and they continue to rack up, but there are no more mats in hand here for Peterbot. Options are thin, but not over yet. He do has or does have 2 med kits. Meanwhile, on high ground, Ajerss and Rise, a much more experienced team, sniping up the stronghold here. And this is how you do it, putting those shots down onto everyone right now.
Oh, decent
Tries to salvage, yeah, tries to salvage the chop.
Yikes, Kwanti though, nowhere to run inside of the mid-ground. Everything just collapsing around him. Walls getting open, unfortunately. Rapid being on the other end of them. Reet and Ritual though, sneak up on Playify. It's a great knock, elimination due to come. Still has 1 more medkit as well. Playing for that ultimate low ground. Reet and Ritual, they're just trying to stay ahead of the pack currently. Kind of monitoring their backside, making sure that nobody gets the chance to sneak up on them in return. But Mason and Hound. Mason having just lost Hound even, the floor chopped out. He wanted to try and make a charge towards Reet, but instead, it's just gonna be trades happening every which way. Reet doesn't even get to reap the benefits because Rapid just instantaneously popping him.
Still an impressive run right now for Rapid here, trying to stay alive, but they get jumped on there inside the box. Bolts, Bryce find a little bit of mats to work with here, but the high ground, I was gonna say, looking very healthy, but no. Bryce just destroys what little bit of shield Ajerss had here. And now look, it is not looking good for the high ground team at all. This is looking like Bryce and Bolts can actually pull a low ground victory here. It is a 2v2. Fall damage will come in unless... No, there it is. The dash comes out. Ajerss comes down and shots come in as well. And this can really go either which way. And the tags go to the beds. Ajerss gets the trade here. It's all up to Rise now, who goes for the heal off instead.
Rise had so much of a gap between himself, though, and there is no way for them to catch up. So, beautiful exchange at the very end. It did start to look a bit flashy there for Bryce and Bolts. Unfortunately, the heals, they just panned out in the favor of Rise and Ajerss all day long.
It was looking real dicey for a second there for the high ground team, but in the end, they do hold out and win it all. Game 2 put in the books there by the likes of Ajerss and Rise. Take a look at this right here. Ajerss commits everything that he had left there with 10 HP. He couldn't play the zone at all and does exactly what he needed to do, and that's find the elimination there to get the trade off. And in the end, Fnatic Ajerss, DT Rise takes game number 2 of the qualifier here, Taco, in really strong fashion. And not only that, they sniped back the high ground, right? They really fought for it.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I mean, that's just the methodical play at the end of the day, but plenty more action to come, and we'll be right back after the short break.